Hiya, it's Saya. I'm here again on day 4 of this Robot Junkyard build. And in an earlier episode I showed you a chunk of clay. I said this is what we would make our top robot with, and well, it's a crumbly mess right now. And it looks like there's not going to be enough of it to make a full robot like I wanted to, including the face that we were going to make out of the mold. So I'm going to add a little bit of beige to this mix. Okay, so I just spent some time with my pasta machine, and I've got a somewhat malleable yet hard clay here, and that's kind of how I like to have it, rather than soft and mushy. So, if you will recall, last time we had talked about this mold and we cooked it. And today we are going to do our first press into this mold, and we're going to find out how it works, okay? So first, a few things. We're going to roll out this clay. And to do that, I'm going to have to stand up. So we're going to make sure that our surface is nice and clean. The only thing that's on here are the pieces of clay that crumbled when I was using my pasta machine. So we're going to make a nice flat piece, and because it's nice and firm, I'm going to put all my body weight into it. Okay. So I want it nice and thick because it's going to be, I still think that's a little too thick. But that's okay, because I see that there's some cracks in this and we don't want any cracks. So I'm going to go ahead and now that I see how it's working out, I'm going to squish those back together. And then I'm going to take some of this aluminum foil and we're going to wad it up, and we're going to use it to do our pressing into the baby's face, or into the robot's mold that we made earlier. Okay, here we go. Oh dear. I was afraid that might have happened. I thought I saw it happening when it happened, and I didn't stop it. So when I even though I cleaned my pasta machine after we ran this mix through, there's still little pieces, and it got into my new clay, my clean clay. That's okay. So we'll just go ahead and, okay, I think that's thin enough, and I've worked out the little bits and pieces. So, and anything that's in there that's dirty looking, well, that's just fine, because these robots are in a junkyard and they're going to be dirty. Okay, so here goes nothing. You know, if it doesn't work out, we can always do it again. And now I'm starting to worry that I might not have enough cornstarch in here, because I just wiped it all out. So let me just pick up a little bit over here and just kind of give it a little bit of a dusting. Don't want it to get everywhere. But here we go. And with that dusting, you might be able to see a little bit better in there. I know the shadows are weird. My light My light up here could probably be tilted a little bit better to give you a better view. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to wad up this little piece of aluminum foil. Well, there are multiple pieces here. And I want to make sure that I've got kind of a good back here, so if I wanted to pull it out later to make a indentation, where perhaps like the mask part would be here, and back here we could have wires and things coming out. Let's see what happens, okay? So I'm just going to kind of keep that in mind as I push this in here. And that'll be, oh yeah, that's plenty small enough to go in there and leave room for the, I hope I'm doing, like, that's my intention. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Okay. Are we ready? We're just going to go ahead and, well, I was going to use that for the front, but you know what? Oh well, let's see what happens. Just a little piece of stuff there. All right. I'm going to kind of, you know what? I think I want to mold it first. Let's push it in and mold it first. Let's see what happens when we do that, because I don't want it to break and crumble, you know? And it looks like that's what it might do. Come on. We do want it to go in there. Oh, good. There it goes. Okay, go in there. Yeah, this clay's pretty firm, as you can see. Well, my intention of putting that little ball in there was, all right, let's try just mashing it now. And okay, did you see what I'm doing here? This is excess, so I'll just take that off. And remember, I said I was gonna cut the robot's ears off anyway. So let's see how it's doing here. We want to take that off, but we want to get a good impression on all the other areas. So let's just keep mashing it in there. Do you think it's going to work? I just don't know. Okay, so let's try to wiggle it out. The moment of truth. Come on. Oh my goodness. Oh dear. Okay, well, a hair from the brush got in there. See, it kind of crumbled, but you know what? I'm kind of liking that. It's kind of almost organic. You see how that worked out? Am I holding it at the right angle? I am so sorry if I'm not. So it looks like there's a little bit of here and here, crumble here and there, but look at the indents in the eyes. That's a good start, right? Should we try again? I think we should try again. This worked pretty well, actually. to work this clay down in there first before I put the other piece in, so that it gets nice and even. And I think that's a step I missed first. So let's just try to make it really even in there. It's really firm, so we don't want any bubbles, but we do want to work it down in there. We'll make sure we have a big enough opening so that we can fit things inside, just like it was a mask or a shell. Okay. You know what? Maybe instead of trying to use this, maybe I overcomplicated things. Maybe I'll just try to pull it out from here. Oh, you know what? You can really see where I botched up the ear, but look at this one. Huh? Okay, so do you see this here? See this baby's face emerging, this robot's face emerging? I swear I'm going to quit calling it a baby. Okay. Well, do I like it? I like it better than what I had. Do I think I can do better? Yeah. Let's see what I can do just by molding the clay with my fingers a little. I kind of like this crack up here. It looks like it's been like really damaged. And we're going to do away with the ears, right? And probably make that flat. So I'm just going to do a little squishing. And I think we should keep it. I think we should keep it, and I think we should work with it a little bit. And I really wanted like a flat nose, and I like this little nose area. I want to flatten that out a little bit more. I want to kind of keep the cute little pouty lips, and I want to make eye holes. So let's go ahead and keep it. We could make another one if we wanted to. We have enough clay. But for now, let's just go ahead and cut off this excess. And then we'll really see what we're dealing with. Maybe we'll leave a little bit for a neck area. And I don't mind it grungy. I actually prefer it that way. I really do like this. It's almost like it was permanently like just damaged like that, like it fell or something. Or something hit it on the head. Or maybe it just cracked over time. Plastic does that. Some plastics and acrylics fall apart over time. They do not biodegrade like natural substances do. Some plastics do, some more organic plastics, I think. Trying to be very careful here. No. There. We do with this here? Well, it's definitely wonky. Should we try to cut out the eyes? I think if I do, I want a better tool than this. This just isn't precise enough. Okay. I have an even smaller knife. So let's try to cut out this eye since it's most pronounced, and then whatever happens with this one, we'll try to replicate on that side. It's actually really thick in there. So it's not going to punch out, but we might be able to push it in. So let me get the right tool. A little too big. A lot of my tools are handmade tools. This one here and this one here I made. And you'll probably notice that all of my dental tools have this green florist tape on them where the grips are. And that's because I tend to hold things very tightly, and the metal grips can sometimes bite into your fingers, and I don't really like that feeling. And so I just cover them with this grippy florist wire, and it like gets in there so well I could probably never take it off. But then I never have to worry about how it feels under my fingers, and I still have enough grip. I thought maybe I'd try to cut some of it out, but that's not really working. And I don't want to enlarge it too much. I don't want to make too big of a hole, so I'm kind of like at this impasse here. So what we could do is maybe put a glass eye or something in here, or we could kind of smooth this out and create an eyeball out of clay. But I think I'd rather just kind of keep digging. It can't be that much further to my finger. Well, maybe. See how, I don't know. It doesn't look so deep, but it really is. Okay. Well, you know, if this doesn't work out and I make a mess, we can always start again. So I'm kind of going with the idea that we will probably be inserting a glass eye in there. I'm going with that. And then I'm going to find my sharp blade again, and I'm going to try to replicate that over here. And oh my god, there's a cat hair. A cat hair. Okay, I'm just smoothing out. And really any irregularities or whatever doesn't really matter, so I'm not going to try to get it too perfect right now, but I would like to have a nice little carved out space there. Can you see what I'm seeing here? Okay. So I was talking about flattening the nose a little bit, and I want to replace the ears. So these are things that I'm going to be working on as I sit here. So I'm going to pause for a moment, and then we'll be right back. Hi everyone. We're back again today, and I want to show you the work I've done on this robot head. It's starting to look more and more like a android, a humanoid. And so I've got some ideas for these ears. I have these weird little flat beads that I'm going to be using. And I'm going to try to keep the area clean even though Tiny wants to visit. Not this, okay, honey? Move that over there. So yesterday I was working on this Android, and I was talking about all kinds of things as I was working, and wouldn't you know it, my battery died. So I guess that's a rookie mistake, and I'll try to not make that again. Okay, Tiny, it's time for me to work. Okay? Can you move over to your blanket? Can you move over here? Come back over here where it's safe for you. Okay. Go back over there. Thank you. Okay. So before we start with that again today, I wanted to talk a little bit about ways that you can make different impressions in clay with trash. So maybe things that you might throw away, you might be looking at them differently and thinking, how can I be creative with this or that? So here we have this old stinky clay that we have mixed up. And if you remember me saying the other day when we were working with this clay that someone had given me some very old Fimo. I'm going to roll up my sleeves, and I'm going to take my ring off. And they were going to throw it away, but I thought, well, maybe I can use it in some way. So I took it off their hands, and I tried to mix it into that, into this old clay here, and it started to smell bad. And it still smells bad. It's a very strong chemical smell, so maybe, oh, see, already I'm seeing a tiny hair. So maybe you can tell me if you've worked with Fimo before, if that's usually the case. Does it really smell that way? I've never used it myself. I usually use Sculpey. I have ordered some new clay that's going to be here next week. That is air dry clay, and we'll be using that to build some things and to connect some robot parts and this and that. Now, the one thing with Sculpey is that you can't use anything with your Sculpey if you're going to bake it, like plastic pieces that might melt in the oven. So here's one of my favorite things. Actually, let me start with a new one. So, you know, sometimes you go to the store and they give you a little bag that has, you know, it's a little shopping bag and it has these little handles. I like to cut these handles off and use them. And then you can unwrap them. This one's being persnickety. You can unwrap them like I did here. Go back to this one. And you can, you know, they open quite wide. And you can use them to make organic textures like bark or maybe like shingles or something. So let me just demonstrate real quick how it works. You just kind of press it into there. You don't have to press too hard to get an impression with Sculpey. And then let me show you how that worked out. Can you see that? I'm holding it at the right angle. I hope so. So there's that. You can use that to make impressions, and you can make your own. For instance, this was just a little bit of extra clay, and I added, I glued on this piece of old gym bag that was made out of leather, and it was being demolished, so I took little pieces off it and I tried to use it in the ways, you know, I just kind of make a press with it. And I can use that to make things look, you know, organically, like maybe like leather or maybe like some sort of scales. So that's an option. You can make your own tools. And lots of the tools I have are ones that I have made out of excess clay for myself. Like this one here. This came off of a pen. And it was like the clip off of a pen, and this is just a piece of wire I put in there so I could get into tiny places. And I just put them together with some old clay that I had that was going, it was just excess from a project, and I just mashed it up and put this together, and it's one of my most useful tools. One of the other tools I made, this was a broken paintbrush, and I used florist tape to put on one of those dental tools, and here's one like this, a dental pick. And I can sometimes find these at yard sales or, you know, real cheap. And, you know, they're a little bendy and you can get into tight places. And so this one is like a little, has a hook on the end, and this one is more direct. And so I use both of them in different ways. But anyway, back to this. So I also made out of old clay and a little bead on top to make it a little bit of a handle. I used the Scrabble tile, and I pushed it and made an impression, and then I wiped out the one, and now I can use this little R to sign my work. Makes a nice little impression. So, you know, there's all kinds of things that you can do. This one I made, it kind of bent a little bit. This one I made out of a piece of canvas, and that gives a little canvas texture. And here's one I made that's just stripes. And here's something that I took off of a coffee cup once the coffee cup had broken. I took this little piece off, and you can press it in, and it gives me a polka dot pattern. Can you see? A little polka dot pattern. So, you know, look around and keep things. If you're in the creative mood, you might find ways to reuse things. Even aluminum foil can make interesting impressions that are organic. Just kind of, you know, and if you didn't want to press so hard, you just want to, there's all kinds of ways that you could use this. Just start thinking, you know, you'll start seeing ways that you can use things. How about this? It was an old audio jack here. We can just roll it into our clay, and now we've got an interesting pattern. We could use that for something in our junkyard. Here's another one, and it's got a spring on it. This one did too. It has a spring, so I took the spring off, and now I'll be able to use the spring in my junkyard. So these are things that I always keep my eye out for. And if my better half is throwing things away, then I say I want that for my junkyard. Here's another thing I use all the time. This, it arrived in the mail as one of those thank you for buying whatever. It was a little thank you gift. And I think it's supposed to go on the dash of your car to hold your phone in place while you're driving. But we don't need that. So I use it here, and it holds all of my small things and small doodads, things that I don't want to lose, and everything sticks to it. Even little bits of clay I was just picking out of there. Yeah, everything sticks to it so I don't lose anything. And here's another interesting tool. I put my ring here. This was a toothbrush holder, but they don't make toothbrushes in the size that fit these holes anymore. So our family couldn't use it anymore. And so I went ahead and just started using it for my tools, and because it's metal, I can put these old magnets from hard drives and stick it to it, and then that can hold even smaller bits and pieces, like this needle. This needle has come in handy several times, and I've just, once again wrapped it with florist wire. Here's a tool I made out of a screw and an old knob. And here's just one of those magnet eggs. And these are real nice for smoothing out areas. Smoothing out large areas. Like that. Or for, and the clay doesn't stick to it, or for creating, rounded areas. There's all kinds of ways that you can use this. This comes in so handy. So I like to keep it close by. Okay, so back to the project. I'll put these things aside for now. And I want to make sure that you guys see this. Let me wipe my hands off a little bit because I was dealing with that clay. Let me show you where we're at with this alien head. Well, robot head. Try to get up close. Can you see here? Now, I went ahead and didn't wash my fingers so I could give it some grime that looks like it's baked in. And then here is the damage. See the damage there? Which that just came out of the mold like that, so I'm keeping that. I think it looks great. I'm using a bead for an eye right now, and I'm not real sure how I feel about it. I'll let you tell me in the comments what you think. And then I think the other one is just going to remain open, so I can put like wires. You'll be able to see wires or something, or maybe even some form of light that can turn on or off. I haven't decided how interactive I want this piece to be, but anyway, here we are with this. So I was talking about what I wanted to do with the ears, and I've made impressions and I've circled around the area that I think I want to cut out, and these that will replace the area that I take out. Okay? So that's going to be my next step. And I'll do that on both sides. And I'll probably clean this up a little bit. And there we have it. So next time we'll be probably putting the clay away, and we'll be building a little bit more with some of the junk that we have out in the garage. And thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.